Good evening, everyone. This is Michael, and we are continuing our triangles work. With the normal triangles meditation this morning, we talked about, some of the important progressive triangles like Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, and Taurus, Scorpio, Capricorn, and Sagittarius, Cancer, Leo. But now this is the work where we simply line up with the people in our groups who are sharing triangles with us and transmit the light and the love through the great invocation, and also as much of the will to good as we can. Now, as you know, every program we give has involved the reading of the Great Invocation number 2. And that's simply because in this post-election period in the United States, which has such an important role to play in the sustainment of democracy all over the world, there are still dangers. There is the danger that the Congress or the Senate representing the red vibration will thwart everything proposed by the more expansive Jupiter indigo light that is represented by those who have a wider soul-centered point of view. There is another danger which is being discussed, that those who are representing the Martian vibration will, at the last moment before inauguration, declare or attack Iran, bomb Iran, followed by the declaration of martial law and the setting aside of, or the possible setting aside of the rightful continuity in the progression between the administration which presently occupies the White House and the new, more soul-sensitive administration which is to come in. The declaration of martial law is so serious, but when you have psychopathology and sociopathy in the executive branch of the government, there's no telling what might be perpetrated upon the will of the people for no greater reason than, quote-unquote, winning, no greater reason than the sustainment of an egocentric point of view, a narcissistic point of view. Therefore, we continue our work with every program we offer, and tonight again at 8 o'clock GMT, Tuya will be offering the daily Vigil meditation, which I think is very powerful. And I've also put that link for you in case you don't know it. It ends with the number 09, and you should be able to see that underneath the image you are viewing. So we attempting to stand steadily with the new group of world servers, we enunciate this great invocation, number 2. so that in fact the rule of evil, which was at the time this was released 80 years ago, will not come into the kind of power which it then did. The attack from the forces of obstruction is far from over. And our next 4.5 years before the great conclave will see that attack intensifying, and therefore we have our interior esoteric work cut out for us. So, great invocation number 2. Let the Lords of Liberation issue forth. Let them bring succor to the sons of men. Let the rider from the secret place come forth, and coming save. Come forth, O Mighty One. Let the souls of men awaken to the light, and may they stand with massed intent. Let the fiat of the Lord go forth. The end of woe has come. Come forth, O Mighty One. The hour of service of the saving force has now arrived. Let it be spread abroad, O Mighty One. Let light and love and power and death fulfill the purpose of the coming one. The will to save is here. The love to carry forth the work is widely spread abroad. The active aid of all who know the truth is also here. Come forth, O Mighty One, and blend these three. Construct a great defending wall. The rule of evil now must end. And so it is our intention to continue with this invocation until the inauguration of the indigo force, and we will have to see what this difficult period leading up to that inauguration may bring. It is a dangerous, still dangerous situation because we don't have a normal psyche in charge of the situation, not yet. We need a return to balance, to Libra, to normality, and that is still some weeks away. So we continue. And getting into the meditation, then we breathe white light into our system, our energy system, and inaudibly sound the Om 3 times. And then we build a different triangle of light according to the instructions that DK left one of his more advanced students in Europe. And he has said to this individual, I would ask you for a few minutes each morning prior to doing the group meditation to rest quietly back in your chair or bed and, closing your eyes, link up with your soul and with me, your friend. You will thus create a triangle of light between your soul, your head center, and myself. Fix and hold this triangle firmly in your consciousness through the power of the creative imagination. And then you will see it as a solid triangle of light this time, not just an outline. And visualize the base of the triangle on the mental plane where Master DK works and where dwells and works your soul. The lower point or apex touches the top of your head. And then we see pouring down via the triangle, this time a stream of light, golden in color and not white. It is more light orange than white, says the Tibetan. You see this flooding your whole body. And when you have visualized this as perfectly as possible, then rest back in that light and bathe in it as you would bathe in the waters of the sea. See it permeating every part of your physical equipment, and let this light do its work without your having any definite ideas as to what should be accomplished. He tells us the rest of the activity is in my hands, and you can safely leave it to me. This exercise, he says, will aid you in handling your life problem and your service until such time as you enter into that light wherein consciousness awakens free from the bonds of flesh. The blessing of your co-disciples is upon you, and yours on them. Now, after we have reached a poised stage, holding the consciousness steadily in the mind and not in the head, we contact the spiritual triplicity, which, quote, hovers over the square and radiates the energy of light into this waiting field of active thought. And now, the mantram of the will, especially the triangles of light, depend upon the will. And one day, triangles of the will to good will be formed, not yet. So far it's love and goodwill and light, but the day will come. In the center of the will of God I stand. Naught shall deflect my will from His. I implement that will by love. I turn towards the field of service. I, the triangle divine, work out that will within the square and serve my fellow men. And then, the heart of this meditation, we focus on our own triangle or triangles, working with the premise that energy follows thought, and we become aware how the triangles every time become more living when you contact in goodwill and light your triangle members. So we call upon our triangle group members by name and with love. We are soul-infused personalities. We imagine ourselves as such. And we keep some minutes of silence to reach out to our fellow triangle members according to their name, transmitting goodwill and light. And of course, when you do this on your own daily, you can take the time which your particular grouping calls for, whether shorter or longer. So we visualize the love and goodwill passing evocatively between the members of our triangles. It's as if it emanates from one of the Buddhas of activity, the one who works through love, intelligently applied in humanity, remembering that these Buddhas are great beings who were in the previous solar system planetary logoi along the intelligence line. And we feel how this second ray, third ray energy basically changes the square-like etheric field into a pattern of triangles. And the same, of course, for the flow of spiritual light passing through one of the Buddhas. And we recognize that when the eye is opened, all is illumined. recognize how the square-like etheric field is changing so that it can reflect the higher points of tension, which are triangles. And a great reservoir of energy, of light and love, or light and goodwill, forms upon the inner etheric side of life, and automatically and with full circulatory effect enables the exoteric work of the men and women of goodwill to go forward more successfully. So the earth will be covered with many triangles. As the decades and centuries elapse, it is work that must go on, the Tibetan tells us. And we can think of Sanat Kumara as the very heart of it all, on one very high level, and from another perspective, the Christ. If there is ever an emergency which runs the risk of thwarting the divine plan entirely, the Buddhas of activity can energize these triangles for protective purposes. Ponder then on what this means to you as a triangle's worker. We find that the triangle's work is essentially evocative, but first must come the invocation. Before the evocation, the response comes. So we're dealing with the ABCs of the science of invocation, and our triangles will be strong depending upon the depth of feeling in the one case where goodwill is invoked, and the strength of the will in the other case where the light is invoked. This is, he tells us, a project so close to my heart, he says, and the work must go on. So let our spiritual invocation be heard on high as we sound together the great invocation.
Within the mind
So we see the global network of golden triangles covering the entire planet. And we endeavor to realize the factual nature of this great living spiritual organism. It constantly substands and underlies world affairs. We see it as a growing, vital reality of such life and potency that it can break through or break up all limiting outer cleavages, and by the very force of its interior life, eventually externalize itself. This will mean, of course, that the kingdom of God is active upon the lower planes. So we visualize at least 100,000 living triangles functioning within the square-like etheric body of Earth, transmuting it into triangles as the Earth becomes increasingly more sacred. Earth is seen as a sacred planet and humanity redeemed. We sound the Om 3 times as we prepare to close. Sustain the circulation of love and light throughout our little network of triangles, and through visualization throughout the global network and eventually beyond, as we triangularize space. Thank you, friends, and in an hour from now, hour and 15 minutes, we have our daily visual meditation, and you have the link. It's always the same link. It's a Zoom meeting. So now we will close with great invocation number 1.